Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and I color coordinated my outfit with my Band-Aid. And speaking of coordination, we're going to function like a well-oiled machine tonight. We're going to have Jeff Long, the interim athletic director, as our first guest. We're going to have Josh Smith, the head coach of Greyhound women's soccer, as our second guest. We'll have a high school spotlight courtesy of Orlando and Landry. I'll finish up with an overtime. But as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Best showing of the year so far for Greyhound men's rodeo as they finished 4th at the Vernon College Rodeo. Greyhound women finished 7th. An exciting game for the Greyhound football team. Playing at Midwestern, they had a 14-point lead, had 21 unanswered points scored against them, and came from behind and got the win on the road against Midwestern. And a special congratulations to Katie Burnett, the interim volleyball coach. She got her first career win at home on Saturday. So congratulations, Katie. Congratulations, Greyhound volleyball. Well, that has been an Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring in our first guest, Jeff Long, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we bring to the set for the very first time the interim athletic director at Eastern New Mexico University, Jeff Long. And Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doc. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jeff, for people that don't know you, you didn't just automatically, mysteriously appear and become the athletic director. You had been here for a few years.
Yes. I'll be here at Eastern 5 years in January.
And your role right up until you became the interim athletic director was?
Vice President for Student Affairs, and I'm still currently serving as the Vice President for Student Affairs along with interim athletic director, yes.
I was just going to ask you, so you kept both of those duties, and just it's a testament to your ability that you're able to juggle two balls.
Best I can, yes, best I can.
Well, Jeff, where were you prior to coming to Eastern New Mexico?
I was at Bloomsburg University in Pennsylvania. It's a Division II program, about 2.5 hours northwest of Philadelphia, in the east central part of the state.
And what was it about the job at Eastern that intrigued you enough to apply for the position as Vice President for Student Life?
Well, my undergraduate and first graduate degrees were in anthropology, so I've spent some time during that part of my career in New Mexico and the Southwest, and always had a very good feel, I call it a vibe, about New Mexico and the Southwest. And in my career, I've moved around from upstate New York to Georgia to Cincinnati, back to Pennsylvania. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania and went to school in Pennsylvania. And I knew that I had one last move in my career, and when this opportunity presented itself, I thought I'd take a look and see if it was mutually agreeable, and find myself in New Mexico, where I've always felt a really good spot in my heart for it.
How did you make the transition from being an anthropologist to being an administrator?
Well, when I was in graduate school, my assistantship was in student activities. And so that was my first introduction to what is called student affairs work. When I was an undergrad, I didn't really know what that was. I was a student athlete. I played baseball in college, and I didn't really know what student affairs was until I went to graduate school, and then I realized what it was. And I knew that I wanted to stay in higher education in some way. I thought it would be, a faculty member teaching anthropology, but I took a little turn into, it's called student affairs work, and I've been there ever since.
So when you played baseball, what was your position?
First base.
First base?
Yeah, lefty.
Exactly. I have played noontime
That's
basketball.
right.
I knew you were left-handed, so yeah.
That's right.
So what team, obviously there are two professional baseball teams in Pennsylvania. Were you a Phillies or a Pirates fan?
Pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in north central Pennsylvania, so that part of the state usually gravitated more toward the Pittsburgh teams than the Philadelphia teams.
Well, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the 1979 World Champion.
Sure.
So you actually.
We are family.
Yeah,
Omar
very good,
Moreno,
very
yeah.
good. Well, absolutely. And where are they now? But, so you obviously did have a connection to sports prior to becoming the athletic director.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and I've supervised athletics in other positions throughout my career also.
Where did you do that?
At Bloomsburg and also at Division III school in Cincinnati College. It was now the University of Mount St. Joseph in Cincinnati.
So is there any connection at all between being an anthropologist and studying cultures and trying to understand the culture of athletics?
Yeah, there are times, not only working on a college campus or working within a specific department, that you can apply those principles of whether you want to call it tribalism or affinity groups or whatever you want to call them. And cultural anthropology was my background. Obviously, in athletics, there's all kinds of rituals involved, and so. Yeah, there's interesting ways that you can apply anthropological concepts to higher education or just in life in general. I mean, that's what it is, the study of man, study of human beings, whether in all facets of our existence and being. And so, yeah, I find myself doing that every once in a while.
So what was the most valuable thing that you got out of participating in sports back in the day?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot of these are probably going to be cliches that everybody that participated will have, but it's just the friendship and playing on a team sport. And I just got a call Sunday from two guys that I played baseball with that they're on their way back from an alumni golf event, and they said, "Hey, we need to give you a call and just kind of fill you in on what's going on." And you kind of say, well, when you're talking, and we were really, really good when we were younger. Remember that? And everybody's always better when they were younger. But those are the things, teamwork, working toward a goal, discipline. I don't think a lot of people understand the discipline that goes into playing at the collegiate level, balancing school and practice and travel and everything else that comes with that, a social life, things that come into it. So I think those are all things that you learn at that age, and how to get along with people. For me, a baseball team of 25, 26 guys, you're not going to get along with everybody, but you got to work together and for the common goals. And so those are the things that, as I reflect and as I talk to student athletes at the beginning of the year, I remind them that some of the things that they're going to learn through this experience are going to be very helpful to them as they move into their career past Eastern.
So, Jeff, as we pointed out, you are the interim athletic director. And what did you think you knew about being an athletic director that did come true? What has just totally come out of the blue that you didn't expect?
First of all, it was the timing of when this happened, which was right at the beginning of the fall semester, which for me is already a busy time of the year with move-in and freshmen, and things that come with the beginning of an academic year. And then, and just having the responsibility of something as large and complex as the athletic department. Also, there was just a sharp learning curve, not so much of what goes on in an athletic department, but just the differences with each institution. It comes with the personalities and the budgets and the travel and the players, and just getting a rapid learning on those kinds of issues. And now that we're in the middle of the first semester, I think we've gotten a little bit of a rhythm going. Things have slowed down. There's still issues that pop up in athletics or in my job in general that you have to deal with every day and in evenings and weekends. So that didn't surprise me. I knew that was coming.
Well, Jeff, there's a song that was popular a couple of years ago in pop culture called Someone to Lean On. Who are you leaning on? Who has really helped you make the transition to being the athletic director?
The coaches have really helped. We have a really strong staff over there. I've been really happy with the administrative staff that's over there. Again, it was a learning for a lot of us. I was new. Liz Acosta's our new administrative assistant because the previous one retired, so she was new. Ryan Shoemaker had only been in the job less than a year, maybe a year. Matt had been there, so he's pretty solid, and Laura Ferguson, she's solid. So so there was a really good core there that could get us up and running and through this period of time, because I obviously am not there all the time. And so through email, phone calls, and I make time every day to go over for a period of time to be available for meetings. And I'm people I think know around the campus, I'm pretty accessible as it is. And then just Amanda Delgado, my administrative assistant in our office, is always somebody that I've leaned on. And I told her when I said, we're in this together, and this comes around because I lean on you to help me out and sort through things. So those are the folks that have really gotten me through this stretch of feeling more comfortable with what's going on and in the processes and procedures that need to occur.
Well, Jeff, thanks so much for being our guest. Congratulations on the success we've had so far, and continued success as long as you wear that interim title.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Doc.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll cue up a high school spotlight right now.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of High School Spotlight. I'm Landry Widener.
And I'm Orlando Perez.
Last Friday night, we went down to my hometown to watch the Melrose Buffaloes take on the Tatum Coyotes.
It was a wet and wild game, and it was very action-packed from the beginning. And in the fourth quarter, we kind of saw one team run away with it. Let's get to the highlights to check it out.
Starting off with the Buffaloes on offense, their senior quarterback Tristan Senna attempting to find the deep man, but it will be intercepted by number 9 for Tatum. That's Kevon Cardenas.
Tatum looking to get in the end zone on offense. Quarterback Sebastian Jimenez is hurried, forcing a bad throw, and Melrose defender Tristan Senna picks it off.
After that change of possession, the Buffaloes will get it going with a pitch to Senna, who will fake out his defenders and make it look easy as he walks his way into the end zone for a Buffalo touchdown. They'll have number 22, Michael Cardenita, roll right for this 2-point conversion, and he'll find number 4, Dylan Valentine, open at the end to add to the board. This will put the Buffaloes ahead in the second, 8-0, with 10:52 left.
The Coyotes back with the ball, and they'll keep it on the ground. That's number 5, Scott Alexander, running through and over a Buffalo defender and picking up a huge gain.
Jimenez now throwing up a prayer, and it is answered as he hits number 12, Caden Rodriguez, who brings it in for the Coyotes' first touchdown of the night. They will not get the extra points, which will leave the Buffaloes up 8-6 with 10:08 left in the half.
Buffalo's looking to keep the lead. Senna gets a hold of the snap and throws the jump ball to number 21, Devin Bailey, and Bailey catches the ball and fights to get near the goal line.
The Coyotes back on offense. Gonzalez is going to run it again, and he will pick up another Coyote first down before he is finally taken down by number 11, Tate Sorgen.
Coyotes sticking with the run game. This time it's number 20, Luis Cervantes, with the carry up the near sideline, and he'll be hit hard by Senna for the Buffaloes.
Jimenez looking to show it off again on this next play. He hits his deep target. That's Rodriguez again, and he will take this one out of bounds, but not before he picks up the first down.
Jimenez making some checks pre-snap. He sees something he likes, but the Buffaloes defense has something else in store. Jimenez drops back and scrambles around before the coverage by the D forces the sack.
After an exchange of punts, the Buffaloes will get it going as Senna, dodging a few defenders, decides to launch a deep one down the field to Sorgen, who will spin around and be brought down.
These two teams exchanging blows through the air. This time Jimenez hooks up with number 9, Cardenas. And how about the one-handed grab by Cardenas? I think that deserves another look, Landry. A highlight reel catch for sure.
Definitely, Orlando, and the Coyotes offense will still keep rolling. Jimenez not missing a target. He gets it all the way down to Rodriguez again, and Tatum will just keep on adding to the board.
Senna trying to get something going on offense, but the slight hesitation allows the defense to make the quick stop.
The ball now is in the air. lands in Sorgen's hands to keep this game interesting as both teams just keep returning the favor of scoring.
The Coyotes would strike back on the ensuing kickoff. Cervantes is back deep awaiting the kick, and he'll pick it up near the 15. Cervantes makes his way toward the near sideline before cutting it back inside and making the last defender miss, and nobody will catch him as he races to the end zone, virtually untouched 80 yards to the house. The Coyotes would opt for the 2-point conversion as Jimenez sprints out and finds Alexander to convert.
The Coyotes still responding as the quarters change, and Jimenez decides to run this one down for himself. He'll scramble and break some ankles, and he brings this one to the house for another Coyote touchdown. Tatum now securing their lead a little more, 14-26 with 9:06 left in the ballgame.
Tatum looking to run away with this game as Jimenez calls his own number. He'll be wrapped up by a defender, but he spins his way out of the tackle and races up the sideline for another Coyote touchdown.
The Buffaloes now desperate to get something going, but the Coyotes will intercept the pass from Senna, and there's Rodriguez again who will come down with the ball. The final score of this game is going to end up being 32-14 with Tatum on top. Thanks for watching High School Spotlight.
And before we throw it back to Doc, be sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, photos, and highlights.
Once again, I'm Landry Widener.
And I'm Orlando Perez.
And we'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Orlando and Landry for that look at Melrose and Tatum. Better luck next time to Melrose. And speaking of luck, it's my good fortune to have the head coach of Greyhound Women's Soccer as my guest. And Coach Smith, welcome back to Sportslook.
Appreciate you having me, Doc.
Josh, is there still kind of the new car smell on being the head coach at Eastern, or are you settled into a routine by now?
I think we're in a pretty good routine. There's definitely a lot of excitement, but I think we're definitely in a good routine and hopefully moving forward.
Looking back at last year, what was the one thing that you expected to be a part of your job at Eastern New Mexico University and the type of quality team you'd had, and what was the biggest surprise?
I think my expectation was just having to, I guess, come in and kind of lay a foundation there, and I think that was really expected. I think the big surprise to me is how quickly we got the team to gel. And I thought there was going to have to be a lot more, but I think a lot fell into place quickly, and I think a lot of that was shown in the results last year that we had and some of the success we had. And I think that was the exciting part for us.
Yeah, and one thing that's true about young people, and of course you're coaching young people, is that they require a certain amount of stability in life, and that was one thing that was sorely lacking in women's soccer prior to the time you got here.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I think that's something that we bring up to the girls, that we're not looking to leave. We want to be here. We want to see the program grow. And I think something we bring up to recruits. I get asked that all the time that, I forget. I think the longest tenured coach here was 5 years, and I think everyone else was 3 years or less. And so just kind of looking at the stability, and I think that builds into hopefully more success into the program as that grows.
Who did you lean on, especially last year? Who really helped you make the transition into becoming the head coach at Eastern?
I would say, I don't know if I would say there was one person, to be honest with you. I think the thing that was nice for me is I thought, a great administrative team that was there to support us. I thought the kids were there and they were hungry for success. I think that was a good combination where we could come in and just coach. And we didn't have to worry about a lot of other things besides being able to coach and recruit. And I don't know if I could necessarily put my finger on one person, to be honest with you. I think the athletic director at the time did a great job welcoming me in. I think having Matt Graurock in there as somebody that's coached soccer and understood kind of where we were coming from. But I think it was a really nice team effort, and I think that's something that attracted me to Eastern as a whole.
Well, I learned something. Matt was a soccer coach.
He was. Yes,
I did not know that. What a modest young man. I've known him, and he never brought that up. So I'll have to talk to him about that, because I actually coached soccer back in the day too. So, well, Josh, enough about me. You're my guest. So, You had some young ladies that you were only going to get a chance to work with for 1 year because they were seniors when you came in. But out of the players that you had last year that are back this year, who are some of the mainstays from last year's team that are playing again for you this year?
Sure. I mean, a couple names popped ahead, but, I think Hayden Zuniga was a big one. I think, this year, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more in a second, but, her sister tore ACL, so they're not playing next to each other this year. And Hayden's really stepped up for us in a big way. I think one of the cool things with her this year is just seeing her grow as a soccer player, but also as a leader inside of our program. And so she's been a big one for us, returner-wise. And then, we've definitely leaned on Julia. She's another one that was a big surprise in a good way last year for us. And both of them are captains in the program, and kind of seeing them, I guess, come back and step their game up even more and take on even more responsibility, because we've lost key pieces in our back line and in our midfield. And I think both of them together have really taken on a different type of ownership and pride in the program.
Speaking of that, you and I were talking a little bit off camera about leadership, and there are obviously leaders that lead by example. There are leaders that are vocal leaders. If you had to characterize, do you have one or the other, or kind of a combination of both?
Kind of a combination, and that's something that last spring we did a lot of leadership development with our girls, and it's something we looked at is I want different personalities in leadership. If we have all of one type, we're not going to be as effective. And so I think we have a good balance. Julia's quiet, but she's a hard worker. She gets on with the team really well. And Hayden, is a hard worker as well, but much more vocal. And then we have another leader who's actually injured this year, and she's a captain for us, but in her own way off the field and with some of our injured players and some of the support roles we have her in, she's done a great job just kind of leading the team. They all kind of balance each other out, and I think that's kind of what's made our leadership more effective.
Well, I was very impressed with you last year, but I became even more impressed with you when I found out something you had done for your young ladies before the season started. You took kind of a cool field trip.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we took them up to Taos and got to do a little bit of altitude training, but also got to take them to a ropes course and do some hiking and things like that. And, it was a really cool experience for the girls, and obviously we want to win games, but we also want to build character and see the culture of our program grow and move forward. And obviously there's bumps along the way, but, the closer we are and the more perspective we have, we're able to work through some of that. And I think that trip was really beneficial just to our team culture, team chemistry.
In terms of the season so far, what's been the high point for you? It doesn't have to be a win. It could have been a tie, but what was the match for you so far?
I think probably 2 matches ago against Tyler. I think that was a big one for us. We had drawn a game earlier in the year. We had lost a game earlier in the year, and then we go down by a goal to Tyler, and the way the girls just bounced back and fought back and didn't throw in the towel, and we faced a lot of adversity this year in different ways, and just to kind of see the resilience. And it wasn't the most pretty game we've played all year, but I think the heart of our team really showed.
What sort of adjustments have you made from last year? Because like you said, they're, for one reason or another, different personnel. So in what ways is it kind of the same thing you tried to do last year, or in what ways is it different this year?
Sure. I mean, I think this year is very similar, that we're relying on our girls to work hard and our work ethic and our heart and things like that. And I think one of the differences is we've reached a higher standard with our playing. We've reached a higher standard with our coaching points that we've made with the girls, and just kind of seeing them grow from that standpoint. But I think that's sort of probably been one of the big things for us.
And speaking of coaching, you're obviously not a one-person operation. Who's helping you out this year?
Sure. So last year our grad assistant graduated, moved on, and he did a great job for us. And we had 2 come in, and big shoes to fill, but they've done a good job for us. We brought in Josie Matlick. She played at Otero Junior College and then Mars Hill, and then she played overseas for a semester as well, and it's brought some experience with her in. And then David Canuthia played at USAO, and they're a nationally ranked men's program in NAIA, and both of them have a great work ethic, good rapport with our girls, and bring different skill sets to the table that have both been beneficial.
I was just going to ask, what are their similarities? What are their differences?
Yeah, I mean, I think personality-wise, very different, but I think that lends itself really well to our team. You have your different girls gravitate a little bit differently, gives them some more personalities on our staff. And I think Josie in a lot of ways has come in and really kind of hit the ground running from the female perspective a little bit. We haven't had a female on staff here in a while, and so I think the girls have welcomed that. And then David's got a great personality with the girls as well, and I think that's resonated with them. And then I forgot to mention too, the men's GA is actually training our goalkeepers this year, and Andrew has done a good job with them, and he's up early, he's out with us, and kind of doing double duty a little bit too, and that's been really nice to have that too.
You mentioned University of Texas Tyler, and there are probably people in the listening audience that are scratching their heads and saying, what? And they may not have gotten the memo that Lone Star Conference is a little bit bigger this year.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You know, we're at 14 teams, and UT Tyler was one of the brand new ones to the Heartland or the Lone Star since they weren't in either one. But, you know, they've been in and out of the national rankings for women's soccer in Division III. You know, they've made the national tournament at least twice, I believe, in Division III. And they have a good coach. He's been there for, I believe, about 15 years, and just a very stable program. And, you know, they're in a great area. They're going to be super competitive. And, you know, I think the future's bright for them, but hopefully a little brighter for us.
Well, Coach, speaking of the future, when in the future are we going to get a chance to see your ladies play in person at the Greyhound Stadium?
Yeah, so our next home game will be a week from Thursday. So we have 2 on the road this week, and then we'll be here next Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. against St. Edwards. And I believe they're rated top 10 in the region right now, so they'll be a good opponent. And then we play Angelo State that Saturday, and they're always a tough one as well.
Absolutely, and always a little bit on the line when Angelo, because of who their head coach is. So, well, Coach, congratulations on the success you've had, and best of luck. And let's hope that this year, like last year, we get to the LSC championship.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. When you get in a cab or a Lyft or an Uber, do you ever really look at the name of the person who's driving your vehicle? Well, if you had been in Tampa, Florida in March, you might have looked at an Uber driver's name and you might have seen the name Randy Dobnik. Probably wouldn't have meant anything to you, but kind of a cool story. Randy Dobnik was certainly an Uber driver in March, but he was in Tampa for a different reason. He was a pitcher in the Minnesota Twins farm system, and he was just in spring training hoping to get a job with Minnesota Twins, maybe pitching Double-A, maybe pitching A ball. Well, he started out with Cedar Rapids, which is the Twins' A farm club, got promoted to Double-A, got promoted to Triple-A, and in September got brought up to the bigs and pitched so well for the Twins down the stretch that he got a chance to start Game 2 of the American League Divisional Series between the Yankees and the Twins. And the fact that he got shellacked in that start should do nothing to diminish the brilliance of my story, pointing out, pay attention to people. You never know when someday they'll be famous. Well, that is going to wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guest, Jeff Long, the interim athletic director, and Josh Smith, the head coach of Greyhound Women's Soccer. I'd like to thank Orlando and Landry for doing a great job with High School Spotlight. I had Marcus, I had Curtis, and I had Phil as my floor directors tonight. So for all of those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.
Yeah,
I did it bad.
I like that.
We'll see you. And once again, I'm Landry Widener, and I'm Orlando Perez, and we'll see you next week.
And we'll see you next week.
All right.